Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another video where I'm going to be talking about why most players who play Rocket League never actually improve, right? Because if you're watching this video, you want to improve at the game. And so this is kind of the most common things that people who don't improve always tend to do. So if you want to actually improve as fast as possible, what you're going to want to do is just do the opposite of everything that I talk about in this video. Let's get right into the first point, which is that most people never improve because they don't play enough. Now, this one is honestly one of the more less of an issue things, but I do see it very often, because I'll have people who either buy my coaching or, people who just comment on my videos or people who just, whatever, who I know, and they'll be like, oh, I'm not improving, I'm hard stuck, whatever. And then I'll look at their Rocket League tracker and I'll see that they've literally played like 50 games, 100 games a season. And there's nothing wrong with not playing the game a lot. People have lives outside of the game. People want to do other things. People, there's many reasons, right? But the thing is, none of those reasons matter because, like, if you're trying to improve, then you need to do a lot of it. It's like saying, oh, well, I've literally gone to the gym in the whole year, in one full year. I've only went like, 5 times or like 10 times. Why have I not seen any progress? Well, like, no shit, right? If you don't do any of the work, then you're never going to get better. So if you're one of those people who have, low amount of games played, sometimes the thing that is holding you back from you taking. Sorry about that. The thing that holds you back from improving quite literally is just not playing enough games. But now this, like I said, it's more for people who have low amounts of games, right? Like if you play every single day, right, and you play like an hour a day at least, right, every single day, then like you're probably not going to have this issue. But what you might have is point number 2, which is that you don't play with enough intention, right? The people who never improve, you do not play the game intentionally. People who never improve are the ones who play on complete autopilot. They get on, they start queuing ranked, they're like listening to music, they're not focused on the game. They're maybe, alt-tabbing between goals, or maybe they're watching, some YouTube video or a show on the side, or maybe they were, watching a football game or something. Like, whatever it is, if you're not playing with an intention, then you're not going to improve, right? So the thing is, an intention goes a lot of ways. So for example, what an intention could mean is something that you're working on, right? If you don't have anything you're working on, which most people don't, that's why most people don't improve. The thing is, they'll play the game and they'll just keep playing, and they'll just play and play and play, and then they'll hope that they kind of get better over time. But the thing is, if you never actually find out, firstly, what you're doing wrong, and secondly, kind of come up with fixes for those things that you're doing wrong, then you're never going to improve, right? If I literally just autopilot and I just queue ranked all day, how am I ever going to find out what I'm doing wrong? Well, you're not. But that's why most people never ever end up actually like fixing their mistakes. That's why they stay hard stuck. If they just do literally thousands of hours of playing, matches, just over and over again, doing the same exact thing. It's super common, and pretty much everyone does this, right? So if you want to improve, what you need to do is you need to have an intention for like every week, every month, whatever. Like when you're getting on the game, you need to have some sort of intention on what you're working on. Whether that's, in your training session, in your free play, in your training packs, in your workshop maps, whatever it might be, whatever it is that you're doing, you have an intention. What skill do you want to learn? Like right now, my main focus is recording this video. So I'm playing free play in the background, quite decently, mindlessly. Like I'm not playing with a true intention right now because my main focus is to record this video. But with my, if I was just doing my free play off camera, right, I would have a little bit more kind of structure to it, a little bit more organization. At least I would be, doing one specific mechanic repeatedly, right? Right now I'm just doing a bunch of different stuff, because, well, my main objective is talking to you guys. So that's kind of the way you need to look at it, is like, you do want your training to be intentional, but kind of, the thing that you are actually focusing on, They don't want to be doing other things at the same time. You don't want to be distracted. Like, if music helps you focus, or do it. For some people, like myself, it actually just helps me, or it doesn't help me, but it makes me more distracted. So, you know, test out different stuff. Maybe for you it does work, maybe for you it doesn't work. Maybe for you, you're always at a VC with your friends while you're queuing, with people who you're not playing with, you're not communicating them, like, to them in the game and stuff. Like, they're literally just talking about, like, random stuff. And, it's not related to the game, but it's going to distract you from the game, right? Now, I'm not telling you, you're not allowed to do any of these things. It's completely fine to be a VC with your friends and stuff, but if you're really trying to rank up and you're really trying to improve, you should be playing with the most amount of intention that you can. That's point number 2. Now, point number 3 is that they don't ever take accountability, and they instead blame other things. So, this one's an interesting one because every single person does this, even in like SSL, even in like high SSL. But the difference is like how often people do it as well, and how they let it affect themselves. So if you play ranked and you get a bad teammate, right? Because everyone has gotten bad teammates. There's no such thing as always having a good teammate. It's just not going to happen. Sometimes you're going to have a bad teammate. That's completely fine. But that's the thing. It needs to be completely fine. You should not freak out when you have a bad teammate. It should not tilt you. And I'm, saying this not from a moral high ground by any means. Okay? Like, I do not want you guys to think that I'm like some perfect human, or at least but I think I'm some perfect human or something that like never gets tilted. You guys have ever watched my streams? I do a lot of solo queuing too. It's like, I get tilted too, just like pretty much everyone else. But the thing is that I can tell you, from all of my sessions that I've ever played, I've never played my best when I was tilted. Always the sessions that I've had where I went up 100 MMR, 200 MMR, whatever. All of those sessions have been sessions where I was extremely like confident, extremely positive minded, and extremely like just kind of accountable. Like, I was always thinking about what I was doing. And whenever I've had sessions where I'm constantly fixated on what my teammates are doing, I'm thinking about the fact that they're booting the ball out rather than taking time. I'm thinking about the fact that they're like quick chatting. I'm thinking about the fact that they just made a mistake that got us to, scored on, and then now we lost the game. Whenever I've had sessions where I think about that a lot, those are always the sessions where I either go even, or that's like best case, or usually worst case, or more often case, I end up going down a remote. And all of the biggest loss streaks, of course, that I've had as well have obviously been accompanied by this. So if you truly want to win more and lose less, which you should, and if you don't, then I would be surprised that you're even on this video. But like, if you want to do that, you need to just, and it's very hard, right? Again, like, I do this a lot. I do blame my teammates as well. But I give you guys this advice because like, it's kind of just, it is the truth. And it's also kind of a reminder for myself and stuff. It's like, if you really want to get good, you need to take accountability for yourself and not blame your teammates. Right? So if your teammate has a bad game, sure, they had a bad game. But like, what you need to do with your teammates is you need to treat them like your friend. Like, if you've ever had a partied up game where your teammate, who's your friend, has had a really bad game, like, do you tell them that they're bad at the game? Like, okay, some people, you might say, oh yeah, we do, whatever. But like, even then, like, that's banter and it's a joke. But like, seriously, like, toxic. And most people don't even do the banter thing, right? They'll be like, no, it's okay, it's fine, don't worry about it, bro. Everyone has a bad game, don't worry. It's completely fine. That's what most people, I think you guys can agree, would do if their friend has a bad game, right? The thing is, you need to reinforce that mindset into yourself in your solo queue games as well, and for your ranked teammates. So you need to think of them, right? Because a lot of time, you know that your teammate is a good player when you're partied up. Otherwise you wouldn't play with them. So then you say it's fine, you know, oh, I'm lucky you had a bad game, because you know that they can play better. The thing is with your solo queue teammate, you might be meeting them for the first time, you might be playing them for the first and last time. So then that kind of view of them is not going to be like, oh yeah, no, he's probably a good player, he just had a bad game. But rather it becomes, oh, this guy's a bad player, he's boosted, like he's, you know, dog shit. Like, you need to kind of build that understanding and kind of awareness that, like, well, this guy's in the same rank that I'm in. So he's here probably for a reason. And he probably just had a bad game. Right? And that's completely fine. And once you accept that, you're just like, instead of being mad about it, you're like, oh yeah, well, he just had a bad game. You know, I've had a bunch of bad games. And I've lost games because of, you know, had a bad game. I've been the guy who's kind of, you know, essentially throwing the match by just having, you know, a bad day or a bad game or whatever. So I understand it, and then you can move on, right? But if you like don't think of your teammate that way, then you're always going to get mad. So you need to like kind of humanize them, or for like, I don't even know what the word for that is, but like you need to make them kind of more relatable to you, right? Because if you think about them as just, you know, any other person, you know, they just have a bad, you know, little off day. It happens, unfortunate. And you can just kind of move on to the next game, rather than thinking about the fact that, you know, they're boosted or horrible or dog shit or whatever, right? Because again, those things, doing those things, and saying those things, does not make you play better ever. All it'll do is make, firstly, if you tell your teammate that he's doing it, it'll make him play worse. And even if you don't tell him to do it, it'll make you play worse because you're not focused on the things that you can control, like the way you play, but rather you're focused on stuff that doesn't actually matter, right? So, you know, whether it's luck or lag or your teammates or literally like anything like external, anything that's out of your control, why would you ever blame them? You gain nothing from it, you know? It's like people saying, oh, well, I'm plat, but I'm EU, so it's basically like champ in NA or something like I'm EU myself, but I think that's like one of the most stupid things I've ever heard, right? Like it's just like, do not blame your, you know, things that are outside of your control for your rank or your performance or your skill or whatever, right? Because it just doesn't help you. And the people who never improve are always the ones who do blame it on that. The people who do actually improve, and they do improve a lot, are always the people who never kind of blame these things, and they always take accountability, right? Now, the fourth point that I have is that they don't do the bare minimum. And what I mean by the bare minimum in Rocket League terms is basically warming up, number one, right? The bare minimum. If you're trying to improve at the game, you need to be warming up. If you're not warming up and you're trying to improve at the game, you're really not like fully trying, right? Like, it doesn't need to be a lot, but you need to do it every day. Like, you should never be hopping on and instantly with cold hands going into ranked games, because you're just going to be holding back your performance for no absolute reason whatsoever. Like, you're literally only thing you're doing with that is making yourself play worse in your first few ranked games, right? So like, just warm up. It's not that hard. It's not that boring. Like, if you get a video, maybe, you know, like this video, right? I have had some comments that like people play my videos in free play. Where it's like, do that even, like not just my videos. You know, I'm not trying to plug them or something. Like watching a YouTube video while warming up, or you know, listening to it, right, while you're in free play. If you're trying to warm up, that's completely fine. Listening to music that, you know, gets you kind of hyped up and kind of confident to play the game can be great. Like, there's so many ways to make warming up fun. Like, it doesn't have to be like a boring like chore or like work. Like, it doesn't have to be that, firstly, right? And secondly, like, for the people who think that, you know, I don't have a lot of time every day to play the game, warming up's a waste of time, I would argue that the less time that you have to play every day genuinely makes you need to warm up more, right? Because if I play like 8 hours a day, who cares what the first 2, you know, hours of the ranked session goes, or, you know, the first like 30 minutes or whatever it takes for me to get warmed up? It's like, because I still got 7.5 hours after that I'm just gonna, you know, make up for, even if I drop it, you know, at first. But like, if you have an hour to play every day, let's say, right, and it takes you the first 30 minutes to actually get warmed up, that's half of your ranked games that you're playing without actually being warmed up, right? Which means it's having a much bigger impact on your rank and your session than it would for a guy who's playing 8 hours a day. So the less you play, actually, the more warm-up you need. Not in terms of, time, but the more kind of necessary it is for you to warm up. And I would say, like, it's safe to go for anywhere like 10 minutes, or not 10 minutes, sorry, but 10% of like how long you're playing for. So like if you have an hour to play, right, warming up for like 5 to 10 minutes, it's obviously, 6 minutes is 10%, but like I would even go a little bit more, 10 to 15%, like something like that. Like if you play 1 hour warming up for 10 minutes, like how many less ranked games are you going to play because of that 10 minutes? Like one ranked game, realistically, right? Because one ranked game is like 7 minutes with like queue times and replays and all that, right? So it's like you're playing one ranked game less per session, but your first like 5 ranked games are just of better quality. So like that's a no-brainer, right? Now, secondly, let's say you're playing 2 hours a day. Maybe you warm up for 20 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever. If you play for 3 hours a day, maybe you warm up for 20 to 25 minutes, whatever it might be, right? Like you can always add more the more time you add, but like, and the thing is, you can always like re-warm up as well. Like for example, holy pop, if you're playing for like the first, let's say you play 3 hours, you play the first, you warm up for like 15 minutes, you play an hour, and now you feel like kind of cold again. You feel unwarmed up. Then you go and you warm up again, another 10, 15 minutes, like mid-session. And then you go back into the ranked game for another, hour. Like, but you do need to warm up. Like, you should never be hopping straight into rank. So that's the first thing of, doing the bare minimum. Second thing of doing the bare minimum is actually playing ranked games. There's actually so many people out there who want to improve, but they don't play ranked. Kind of going back to like my first point, which was that they don't play enough. It's like, you need to play ranked games. You cannot just do free play and like casual or like whatever, and then expect to improve, because you need to challenge your mechanics to, actually get better at them, and you need to, challenge your decision making to actually get better at it. So the only way to challenge yourself is to play in a game mode that has pressure, which is ranked. You're never going to have any pressure to do anything in casual. So stop playing casual so much or doing free play or training packs. You need to also play ranked, right? Like if you're not playing at least like half of your time that you're playing the game in ranked, then you're kind of just not putting enough time into actual games, right? So like if you have an hour to play, I would say at least 30 minutes minimum have to be on ranked games, right? So like, let's say if you had an hour, I would do maybe 10 minutes of warming up, maybe like either all of it, the rest of it to ranked, or I would do like 45 minutes of it to ranked or something like that, or like 40 minutes. So then with the last like 10 that's left, I would watch like one replay of mine and like write down some notes for myself. Like that's maybe what I would do. But the thing is, you don't need to do a replay review every day. So it would be like 6 days of the week. If you had, 1 hour every single day, it would be like 6 times you would play 10-minute warm up and then rank the whole time. And then one time you would do like, 40 minutes of ranked, 10 minutes of free play, and then another 10 minutes of like replay review, right? It's very simple. Like, but you do need to also play ranked. That's the second part of the bare minimum. And then the third bare minimum is you need to train your mechanics. Like if you're trying to improve at the game, you cannot just be playing the game like just pure ranked. You should be spending time in free play or in training, doing some sort of training. Again, now the more time you have to play, the more I would allocate to this. So like if you only have an hour to play, which most people don't, but like I think this is a good example, because like a lot of people think that I don't have time to play, whatever. So we're just going to do an example with less hours, and if you have more, then obviously you could just do more of each of these things. But now if I had an hour to play and I wanted to do all 3 of these bare minimums, I would warm up for 10, right? So then we have 50 minutes left. And I'd probably play ranked for 40. And then I would maybe do 10 minutes in free play or just training pack, just working on, my weaknesses and stuff like that, right? So for example, I would do maybe aerial mechanics, right? Whatever your actual mechanical weakness is. whatever you're working on for that week, right? And I would do that every day. Again, if you have 2 hours, maybe you do 20 minutes, whatever. It's all up to you, but I would say if your mechanics are your issue and kind of a weak point in your games, I would work on them more, allocate a bit more time. But if they're not the problem, then I would allocate a little bit less time. It's about really just like understanding what is your kind of bottleneck in terms of, ranking up. Like, what is your constraint? Are you held back more by lack of game sense, which would mean more replay reviews and, more time watching like better players? Or are you held back by your mechanics, which would mean more time doing drills and training your mechanics and stuff like that, right? And now the last point of this video that I want to tell you guys, which is why most players never improve, because they don't actually apply any of this stuff in their own ranked games. So what a lot of people will do, they'll watch videos like this one and a lot of, my other ones, and they'll think that they learned a lot, and they'll be like, yep, okay, watch the videos, great. And then when they go into ranked, they just don't actually do any of the stuff. So like, for example, I had, videos about underrated skills. Someone might watch that video and then be like, oh, yep, these skills are underrated. And then, when they go into ranked games, they don't do a single one of those skills. Like, they don't, actually apply any of those things. They don't actually start doing a single one of the things that they learn. And they instead just kind of autopilot back to whatever they were doing before. So this kind of goes back, hand in hand with the intention point up before, where it's like, if you're watching videos, you need to watch them with intention as well. So like, you need to actually apply whatever you do learn. Like, there's zero value to watching a video that tells you, how to flick the ball if you never go and practice, right? Like, I made an ultimate flicks guide, and a lot of people said that they really enjoyed it, but I'm sure there's also some people who thought it was good, who found it helpful, but then actually thought, they learned something, but then they actually just didn't go and train their flicks, right? They didn't go and they didn't actually do the drills. So the thing is, like, if you truly want to, improve on things that you learn, you can't just be a theorist. You need to be a practitioner as well. So whatever you do learn, you need to think, how can I actively apply this? How can I apply these concepts? If they're, general concepts, like, how can I apply this to as many fields of my life as I can? And to Rocket League, of course. How can I think about this kind of philosophy, right? A great example for me with this is like, the more you put in, the more you get out, right? Is what I heard from Rich Piana. And the way I used that was like, okay, well, what can I use this advice on, right? Rather than just being like, yep, the more you put in, the more you get out. Cool. What does that mean? Like, what do we do with that? Well, how do we move on? Rather than just, kind of having that and not doing anything with it, I thought about it. Okay, how do we apply this? Well, the more hours we, work on our mechanics in free play, the more we will get out, the better mechanics we'll have. The more replay reviews we do, the better kind of understanding we'll have. The more we watch pros, the more we will pick up on their tendencies and then start playing more like them. The more we, and then so on and so on. So it's kind of like, whenever you do learn anything, you need to think about all the different use cases that you might have for this piece of advice, right? And start to just kind of experiment. Maybe it works with this, maybe it works with that, maybe it doesn't work with this, but it's fine because we tried it, and well, now we know, right? And it's like, it's a lot of just experimentation in that sense. So yeah, if you truly want to do anything, with this video and any other videos, you need to actually apply them in ranked, not just free play, not just, other training methods. You need to apply them in real ranked games, because that is the kind of, the games that do matter the most. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video and you like how I explain things and you kind of like my thought process and stuff like that, check out my Metafile link, in the description. I'm a coach where I do replay reviews. I basically just break down your replays and I tell you what you're doing wrong, how to fix them, and all that, good stuff. So if you're interested in that, check out the first link in the description. I will much appreciate it. And thank you guys for watching. Right, I appreciate you making all the way into the end of this video. Good luck in your games, and I will see you all in the next video. So, peace out.